Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. There's my camera. my camera. I thought it wasn't going to cooperate tonight, but there it is. It's cooperating. Can you guys see me? Am I clear? Hello. Um, so I got a great show planned for you guys tonight. I had never heard of this case before, but we're going to go over it a little bit. This guy just got out on parole, and he murdered his whole family with an axe. I don't know why we're letting people out of prison. What's happening? I guess there will be some discussion in the chat because when he did it, he was technically a child. But still, an axe murderer, do we want them out on the street? I'm not sure. We'll take a look at it. We'll look a little bit at his parole hearing. And we'll get into it. And then we're going to be here only an hour tonight because we're going over to NCR News's show and we're going to rank Florida men together. So we'll be here from now until 8:30, and then from 8:30 until whenever we're done, we'll be over on his channel. So stick around. I have a great night of entertainment planned for everybody. But first, Cool Clearwater coming in hot with the $10 super chat. Let's get the show started. Treats. Yes, treats indeed. Let's do good treats. Let's just start the show with good treats. How about that? Give them one of these. You gotta break it in half. Good treats for the dog from Cool Clearwater and family. I appreciate you, good people, very much. There's one for that one. And there's one for that one. How's everybody doing tonight? Some guy named Shane kidnapped you. Oh, no. Oh, no. I'm glad you're here now and you're safe. This is a safe place. Everybody is welcome. Let's roll into it. I always find parole hearings interesting because, you know, these parole boards know what this guy did. But, and sometimes I think the only other parole hearing we watched on here was Susan Smith. Was that her name? The one who drove her kids into the lake. Susan Smith, I think it was. We watched that parole hearing on here as well. And that one didn't go. That one was a win for the good guys. We kept her in jail. This one, not so much. But we're going to watch it nonetheless. Shane, will you please stop kidnapping people? I'm hearing this a lot in my chat right now that you're just over there kidnapping people. What's happening? Everybody say hi to Shane. If one of my mods could please put Shane's link for his channel into the description. I highly recommend Shane's channel. Not only does he put out great videos, but his live stream chat is a lot of fun. If I do say so myself, of course I'm there. So of course it's fun, but everybody go subscribe over at Shane's channel as well. Let's see. What? Okay, here we go. Let's hear about the Broms, first of all, before we get to the parole hearing, because this was a case, like I said, that I hadn't heard of until they let this guy out of jail. So I assume if I hadn't heard of it and I'm like, watch a lot of true crime stuff, that maybe some of y'all haven't heard of it either. Let me know in the chat if you had heard of this case before tonight or before they let him out, like before the last couple of weeks.
Never forget.
They may not be stories you want to remember, but they remain part of our history. History that helped shape and mold our justice system, how we raise our children, even how we see the world. In a three-part series of special reports only on KTTC, our Barrett Leone takes a look back at some of the state's most notorious killers and their crimes. Tonight, we start with a violent quadruple homicide. It happened right here in Rochester more than 33 years ago. Our Barrett Leone joins us in our studio, and she investigates the Brom murders. Barrett.
Well, Tom, Caitlin, when you think of notorious Minnesota crimes, the Brom murders are at the top of the list. For the first time, KTTC spoke with a close family friend of the Broms. If you've lived in Rochester long enough, you've heard the name.
This is him on his way to prison. This is the last time Rochester saw him.
Brom. You've probably read the headlines.
5 lives that are gone. I mean, they're literally gone.
Remember the reports.
The question Olmsted County authorities must decide now is whether to charge David Braum as a juvenile or as an adult.
And watch the Brom family murder story play out on national television.
Good evening. Topping tonight's News 11, police charge a 16-year-old boy with 4 counts of first-degree murder after his family is found axed to death in their Rochester home.
Patty Price lived it.
It was a crazy, awful experience.
In the middle of the night on February 18th, 1988, 16-year-old David Braum killed 4 of his family members. His parents,
Again,
Bernard and Paulette.
I could see why maybe I hadn't heard of this story, because in 1988, they're saying it was national news at the time and stuff like that. But in 1988, I was a child. So I'm assuming my parents would not let me watch something like this on the news, but which is good. Like, you should, like, if there's any children watching my show right now, you should send them away. This is not a show for kids. But I can kind of see why I didn't know about this one. There's a lot of them from when I was young that I do remember. Like, obviously, John Wayne Gacy was from my neighborhood, so it was all over the local news and he was already in jail by the time I was born. I think he went to jail like the year after. I was a baby when that happened. But when his parole, like when they arrested him and his parole hearings and his execution and all that, I remember all of that very clearly. But this one, 1988, and it was the next state over, a couple of states over. Yeah, I could see why I didn't know about this one.
Younger siblings, 14-year-old Diane and 9-year-old Rick, all murdered with an axe.
I had only just been to their house for a sleepover the weekend before.
Price, an 8th grader at the time, remembers it vividly. Diane was her best friend.
I remember the day that she didn't show up. It was a Thursday, and she didn't show up that day, and I didn't really think that much of it.
She remembers her mother breaking the news to her that night.
I don't know how to tell you this, but Diane is dead. My life kind of was before that moment, and then after that moment, from that point on.
The next day, Price went to school alongside her classmates in a fog, even cleaning out Diane's desk with another friend.
I was convinced 100% that David was out. He had walked in on the murders and fled.
Before David turned himself in that Friday.
Even at that point, I was like, somebody's got a gun to his head. He was like a brother to me. I mean, he was nicer than my brothers, to be honest.
David was convicted of 4 counts of first-degree murder. Shock and grief saturated the Rochester community.
This is obviously the shock phase. It's beginning to set in.
It's just, a shock to the whole community. Everyone's talking about it, wondering why.
Come Monday, St. Pius bus students.
So what do you guys think? So you guys heard what the crime was. Now, he was in jail or prison, my bad, for 33 years. Do you think that's enough? I don't know. Even if he was, what they say, 16 at the time? 16-year-old knows what they're doing is wrong. He knows you can't murder your family with an axe. Come on. Come on.
I remember we had to sit with our class.
By the way, welcome to everyone from Shane's channel. Just so you know, I do a body cam show twice a week, kind of like Shane's, on Wednesdays and Fridays. The Sunday show, however, is sometimes a little bit more grim. So if you're not into this, I totally understand, but please hit the subscribe button before you leave and come back on Wednesday night at 8 because it's a hoot on Wednesdays and Fridays. This is where we get our true crime fix on Sundays.
And there were 4 caskets brought in, of course, all closed. All that I could think of what was on the inside of those caskets. What did the bodies look like? And it was just trauma after trauma, and no help to be found.
Olmsted County Sheriff Kevin Togerson was one of the first responding deputies on scene.
I got up maybe 4, 5, 6 steps, and then I could see 2 sets of feet laying at the top of the
Real quick, weapons in my defense. It didn't give me the pop-up that said Shane rated, so it's not my fault that I just noticed. It is YouTube's fault that I just noticed. At least I noticed. I am very, very blonde, so y'all are lucky I noticed it all, to be fair.
top of the steps.
30 years later, in 2018, he spoke with KTTC about the day.
When this happened to the Brom family, there was a a very heightened response and involvement, and there was a lot of things going on. The schools were more involved, the school counselors were more involved, trying to help and support families and things like that.
But Price remembers that time in her life differently.
And I remember really people telling us not to talk about it.
It took her until her mid-30s before she felt she could talk about the tragedy publicly.
From age 13, when the murders happened, till age 32, was massively shaped by the murders.
All these years later, she says she's never once blamed David.
Have never had anything but compassion for him and wondered what the reason was. I have written to him a couple times over the years, probably about 6 times.
David is now 49 years old at the Minnesota Correctional Facility in Stillwater, and the motive behind his crimes is something he's never revealed.
I think everybody involved with that case asks themselves that question, and I have no answer.
But Price has her own ideas.
Well, I have all sorts of theories on what was happening with David, having to do with priests, to be honest. But David has never been willing to talk about it. He talks about how much he misses his family.
I understand that this was a friend of yours. I get it, but I don't care what happened with the priests. It doesn't give you the right to murder. Keep in mind, the scandal with the priest affected many, many, many people, a whole heap of people, and they didn't axe murder their families. So using that as an excuse is a little bit cuckoo to me. Just a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
He talks about how, he really regrets snapping the way he did, and he talks about how much they loved him, and he very much misses them.
Price is an advocate for mental health and a practicing psychologist here in Rochester. She says if it wasn't for the Brom murders, she wouldn't be as compassionate or even in the same field she's in. She hopes to get the courage to visit David at the Stillwater facility someday. If you'd like to hear more of her interview, head to KTTC.com. And I'll continue our 3-part series tomorrow night looking into a case.
All right, so we're going to watch a little bit of that too. The court jester says, I didn't know you were from Illinois. John Wayne Gacy was actually a clown at my friend's party when I was like 6 or 7. Holy cannoli. When the story broke, my mother never let us go anywhere alone again. That's crazy. I lived less than I grew up in a house that was like right at like Foster and Harlem, on Nottingham, actually. Near St. Monica. So you're obviously from the same neighborhood. I went to like St. Monica was my grade school. You're obviously from the same neighborhood I'm from as well, which is crazy. That's what a small world. Meeting people over the John Wayne Gacy case. Yeah, if he was at your friend's party, then obviously we grew up in the same neighborhood. I don't think I ever actually came into contact with him. He was more like where St. Cornelius was. I was where like St. Monica was, which is, they're like a mile apart from each other. Cool Clearwater for $5. Edit and try again is rough tonight. I don't know what you're talking about, but I do know that means the dogs get some milk bones. I did set a goal, and if we reach that goal, they will get some duck feet, which I have over here. They're disgusting. I don't like opening the bag. It smells bad, but man, these two really like them. Here you go. Little mini milk bones for super chats over here. That's Ava. The old girl in the back is Zena. There goes Zena. And they appreciate the milk bones. Yeah, it's Chicago Emerald in the chat. Literally the next block over from her grandma and grandpa's house, which is happens to be my aunt and uncle's house. So I was over there a lot too. If you know, you were there too. Chicago Emerald. I almost said your real name on the internet. I will not do that. I will try not to anyway. But yeah, I grew up right in that area. All right, this is one of the segments that's going to dig a little bit deeper, and then I promise we're going to get to the parole hearing here in a couple of minutes.
Where will he go? How is he getting out of prison early? Is it safe for him to return to society? KTDC's Olivia Pronzinski has been digging deeper into those questions for us. She joins us live in the studio.
Do you guys think I should cover John Wayne Gacy? I just never have, because it seems like everybody already knows that story. I could cover it. I know it. I could probably cover it right now tonight, just off of just off the dome. But is that something you guys would be interested in watching if I covered John Wayne Gacy? Let me know in the chat.
Tonight with more. Olivia.
Yeah, Brock and Caitlin, David Braum's early release to a halfway house boils down to a ruling made at the United States Supreme Court more than a decade ago. And later, a 2023 law change by the Minnesota legislature. Former Olmsted County attorney Mark Ostrom was a big advocate to avoid Braum's early release.
The 1988 Brom murders forever changed the Rochester community.
I'm just not ready for him to come back.
And now the man behind the gruesome murders, David Braum, is in the process of re-entering society after more than 36 years.
Often a victim is hopeful that somebody is going to serve a sentence and be, for example, gone from a community for a set period of time.
Former Olmsted County attorney Mark Ostrom, now retired, says a recent law change undoes the certainty of sentences carefully curated by judges, prosecutors, and defense attorneys. But how did we get here? Brom, who was 16 at the time, was sentenced to 4 life sentences, 3 of which were to be served consecutively, and the 4th served at the same time as another. In 2012, the United States Supreme Court ruled states could no longer impose mandatory life without parole sentences for juveniles. That ruling prompted a law change in the 2023-24 Public Safety Budget Bill by the Minnesota legislature, banning juvenile life without parole.
It was my concern at that time that they really didn't know the breadth of what they were doing.
Ostrom advocated against the Minnesota law change in 2023 out of concern that convicted murderers like Brom wouldn't serve their full sentence.
So here's what's happening here. They changed the law to where you cannot send people who are under the age of 18 to prison for life without parole, which is fine, but that doesn't mean you have to parole them. That absolutely doesn't mean you have to parole them. Also, since when do we change laws and then make them retroactive? Since when does that happen? It doesn't happen for anything else. There's people sitting in jail or prison right now for marijuana, where now it's legal in their state. But when they got their charge, it wasn't legal then. So, and they're still sitting in prison. So what's the deal? I don't get it.
There's no doubt in my mind that David Braum would benefit from this statute.
Olmsted County Sheriff Kevin Torgerson, who at the time was a deputy and made the gruesome discovery of the murders, echoing Ostrom's concerns.
Mr. Braum is benefiting from leniency twice for mutilating 4 people, his family members, including his 2 younger siblings.
Originally, Brom wasn't supposed to be out of prison until 2037. According to Ostrom, Judge Ancy Morse thoughtfully made Brom's sentence with the opportunity to come out, but much later down the road.
He ultimately will not serve the sentence that she wanted him to serve for each of those victims.
According to the Minnesota Department of Corrections Commissioner Paul Schnell, work release has been around since the 1980s and been successful in helping incarcerated individuals reestablish themselves in the community.
This transition becomes really important in order for them to just be accustomed to operating.
Once in the Twin Cities area halfway house, Brom will be under tight constraints, but will have regular access to the public.
They get monitored for drug use, alcohol use, all of those sorts of things.
Work release typically lasts anywhere from 6 months to a year. Chanel says Brom will work a regular job in preparation for supervised release, although what the job will be is still to be decided.
I thought these things were going to last forever. And I knew I couldn't live that way forever. And in the cloud of depression, I started to believe that other people were at fault.
I turned this matter over to the board.
In January 2025, Brom was denied regular parole, but the DOC started the process for work release. Although during the hearing, he admitted his mental health played a role in his decision to murder his family.
We have staff here that as people are
I guess I'm glad he's at least admitting what he did. I've seen some of these people go their whole lives and there's tons of evidence showing that they did do the thing that they're in prison for, never actually accept guilt and apologize and all of that. Legal fiction for $5. YouTube is denying my wit in super chats. What? I'm sorry about that. YouTube can be like that sometimes. I don't know. I just don't know. You'll have to use workaround words, I guess. Thank you very much for the $5 super chat. I surely do appreciate it. And so do the doggos. I did see Cellulite Yoga Pants say that she thinks that Leopold and Loeb would be more interested than Gacy. True, and I've already started the research on Leopold and Loeb, but I thought I needed more than an hour to cover it, and I did tell NCR News Network that I would be on his show tonight at 8:30, so that's why I did not cover it tonight, but I did this week start doing the research on Leopold and Loeb, so maybe next Sunday we'll talk about Leopold and Loeb, and then after that we'll start the research on Gacy.
To be released on work release. We'll work with the incarcerated person to establish a connection with a provider, a mental health provider in the community.
Chanel says Braum's chances of reoffending are low. And while Ostrom says Braum has made improvements during his incarceration, he still has concerns about his release.
He's been institutionalized for so long. I mean, think about the fact that there were no cell phones back when he went to prison. There was no, I mean, all the changes our community has gone through, he's not prepared for that yet.
Ostrom says he is confident Braum will be safe in the community, but going forward would like to see changes in the release process.
All of this happens in a conference room in the back of a Department of Corrections building. If we really want to do this, let's do it out in the open. Let's do it in a courtroom. And they really didn't want to do that.
Braum's next appearance before the Supervised Release Board is scheduled for January 2026.
Now, KTDC has reached out to several lawmakers who were part of the 2023 public safety budget bill. All declined on-camera interviews. The original bill author, Representative Sandra Feist from New Brighton, said she's being highly selective about interviews following the loss of Speaker Melissa Hortman and not in the place to speak about another murder case on camera. However, Feist did say that she is proud of the work that she did on this bill, saying, quote, in a statement, then the passing of this law, the legislature brought Minnesota in line with majority of the states, both red and blue, that have updated their laws to reflect these court decisions. No one should have to spend their entire life behind bars for something they were convicted of as a child when they have spent decades being rehabilitated. The Supreme Court of the United States agrees, and now Minnesota statute reflects that decision, end quote.
Yeah, but he axe murdered his whole family, and he was 16. Like, maybe I understand if he was 10 years old or something like that, didn't understand the right and wrong and the permanency of acts like this, but that's not the case here. That is absolutely not the case here. What are we doing here? K-Pot Video, thank you very much for the $5 super chat. I gotta see Katie's squirm at duck feet tonight. Yes, they're disgusting. They're so gross. Thank you so much, K-Bot Video, for supporting the show. There's one for Xena. There's one for Ava. She's looking deep into your soul right now. There you go.
They were convicted, as the quote goes on to say, they were convicted as a child when they've spent decades being rehabilitated. The Supreme Court of the United States agrees, and now the Minnesota statute reflects that decision. Now, if living in the halfway house or work release don't work out for David Braum, he will go back to a correctional facility. Now, we have also gotten possibly the closest look of this investigation. I obtained a complete copy of Braum's investigation file from the Olmsted County Sheriff's Office. There's evidence photos in here that has not been seen since court. Interviews with Braum's closest friends and family members, and much more in this. And I will have more on this tomorrow.
Ooh, maybe I need to do a FOIA request. Take a look. See what's what. All right, here we go. Here's the parole hearing. Here we go. Let's see what happens at this parole hearing. I haven't watched this yet. I'm reacting live with you guys. But first, another $5 from Cool Clearwater. Thank you so much, Cool Clearwater. The first was Papa. This is from the Littles. Thank you so much, Littles. I appreciate you guys. I know you're always watching with Papa, and I love that you guys get to spend family time together. That's for Ava. That's for Zena. I haven't thrown any behind the bed yet tonight, so that's good. Maybe I should knock on wood. And Charmed Forever. Ava and Zena are so adorable. They are. They are. I mean, I like them. I keep them around. Even though Ava's a little bit of a terrorist, just a little bit. She's been good all day today, though. Yesterday, though, not so much. Oh, I just threw one behind the bed. I just did it. I heard it go back there. Here you go, Zena. I apparently did not knock on wood fast enough. All right, let's get into this parole hearing.
How are you today?
I'm good, thank you.
I would like to start out, you've been through this before, start out by asking you to tell the board what it is you'd like to see happen as a result of today's meeting.
I'd like to walk away from today's meeting with an understanding of what a step-down process might look like for me.
Can you talk about your readiness, your journey, what led you to here, and the extent to which and how that, in your view, readied you for being considered for parole?
What led me to this point in my life?
Yeah, and your readiness, if you for parole as you've described.
Okay. Yeah. So I've kind of spent my time the best that I can to change the things about my life that led me to the despair and the decisions that I made and the actions that I took, the crimes that I committed. I tried to change everything that I could about myself, and I believe that through the help of staff, programs, the support system I have in my life, I'm a good example of what a transformation can look like in a person's life through the Department of Corrections. I think that I've demonstrated consistency in that progress and in that maturing and growth, and I believe that I'm ready for parole.
So we've had a chance to talk about this in prior hearings, but I think it's, for purposes here, I think it's important. As you know, the gravity of this offense is immense. Not just the impact on your family, but the community, and as you say, the ripple effect over the course of time. But as you think about, can you help give a sense of understanding of, through the lens of today, what happened that could allow you to engage in the conduct and the taking the lives of your family members, as you look back now through the lens of experience and history and the range of experiences and services that you participate in? How do you understand what you did at that time?
Yeah. First, if I could just take a minute to talk about the effects of the crime on others. I'd just like to apologize to the family and friends of Bernard, Paulette, Diane, and Richard. I caused tremendous loss.
The family of those people are also your family, sir. The way he separated, I don't know, that just sat wrong with me. The way he separated himself from their lives, that was your family. So all of those people, the family and friends of those people, were also your family and friends.
In their lives, incredible grief and pain and left them with confusion and unanswered questions. And I apologize for that loss, for that grief, for the murder.
Ace Lusher is asking, what did this guy do? He axe murdered his whole family in 1988 is what he did. His mom, dad, brother, and sister just completely axe murdered him. He was 16 at the time.
That I committed and the effect that it had on their life. I'd also like to apologize to the courts, the court officials, the sheriffs, who just as a matter of the service that they provide to their community, that they were a witness to the crimes that I committed. And I apologize for the impact that that had on their lives. And lastly, to the neighborhood, to the church we attended, the schools we were enrolled in, and the community of Rochester. I apologize for the ripple effects of losing an entire family in such a horrific way. And to give an idea of what leads a person to commit the murders that I did, I struggled with depression for some time, and it had clouded my thoughts, and it clouded my my ability to process things. And I had grown to a short-sighted view that I thought these things were going to last forever. And I knew I couldn't live that way forever. And in the cloud of depression, I started to believe that other people were at fault for the way I felt. And unfortunately, that fault I placed on my parents and my family, because I was often more depressed at home than I was in other areas of life.
Hey, it's me. I have Brom in here for a comment. When did When did you first start to get or gain a level of insight or clarity or an understanding of the depression? When did that begin to happen?
I started to understand a little bit about it when I was in the Oaks Treatment Center in Texas. That was a beneficial environment for me. They were supportive and encouraging, and but I really didn't grasp the effect that it was having on my life until it started to kind of dissipate. That cloud started to dissipate in my life as I pursued my faith and as I pursued the investments that other people were making in my life, probably closer to my early 20s.
Along the way, were there reconnections that you made with people who were significantly harmed by the offense?
Yeah, I've had connection with several family members, all four of my grandparents, some aunts and uncles, and my older brother. I've also had some contact with a friend of my sister's. So I have had, not all of those have continued, but I have had some interactions with people who were affected by the crimes I committed.
What was that like for you? And as you, especially like as those things were happening or occurring or were about to occur, what was the experience of that? What was that like?
It's always difficult to hear how painfully you've affected someone else's life. And so it was a difficult thing to hear, and to hear how it didn't end. The effects of the crimes didn't end after the funeral or after a short period of time, that they continue to feel the effects of loss and grief. It was also honestly sometimes difficult to hear their acceptance of me into their lives as I struggle to go through the journey of finding a way to forgive and accept myself. It was difficult sometimes to hear their forgiveness and acceptance of me.
As you think about, and I asked that question not to do for any other reason than you've had transition, and what you're seeking from the board is further transition, and all of the things that happen bring something new or different, What do you anticipate, or what would you expect if the board were to move you forward, or look at grant parole?
Is it just me, or does it seem like this parole board had its mind already made up before this guy even walked in the room? Is it just me? Just the line of questioning, and his answers are not giving me, oh, we need to let this guy out of prison. I think they already had their mind made up.
Whatever the board would choose to do, how do you feel like you would manage or be able to deal with that type of a transition as well, certainly you're not the person you were when you were 16 years old, but nonetheless, the offense is a reality. And how do you think you would manage that?
So, I mean, with any challenge that I face, I believe I have a level of emotional maturity now in order to deal with and recognize what I'm feeling and to work through those emotions. And when that becomes a challenge to me, I have a very strong support system. And so I rely on the advice, counsel, and help of other people that are in my life. And they can usually speak to me in a way that's helpful. And going forward, I also know that I have resources in the community that are available to me that I can reach out to. I'm working with a couple peer recovery specialists and things of that nature. And lastly, I also have, when there's challenges that I face, I'll know I have a parole officer that I can turn to for help, and ultimately other corrections staff that I can turn to for help.
He's acting like the parole officer is his friend. Apparently that was it. So, yeah, that was the parole hearing.
Today, convicted axe murderer David Braum of Rochester begins a new life chapter as he leaves his prison cell. According to the Minnesota Department of Corrections, Brom has departed his Lino Lakes prison.
Off of that parole hearing, they let him out. Only 33 years. 33 years is not even, I mean, he murdered 4 people. 4. 2 of them also children, by the way. 2 of them children. He murdered 4 people. He got 33 years. Can we at least get 10 years a person? Is that too much to ask for, Minnesota?
For work release in the Twin Cities area, residing at a halfway house there. Our Eric Min reports from Lino Lakes.
Like, we're not even getting 9 years a person in this case.
Minnesota Correction Facility in Lino Lakes. It's a city an hour and a half north of Rochester. Records from the Department of Corrections show David Braum has officially been assigned to the work release status as of this morning. According to the department, this work release status involves case management, supervision, and GPS monitoring. About 37 years ago, David Braum made headlines as an axe murderer at the age of 16, killing his father, mother, and 2 younger siblings at their Rochester home. Brom pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity, but was convicted of 4 counts of first-degree murder. He received 3 consecutive life sentences. Fast forward to 2025, a recent state law change has made the 53-year-old eligible for work release. That new law made juvenile so-called lifers eligible for parole or supervised release after at least 15 years of incarceration. During a hearing before the board earlier this year, Brom apologized for his actions and said he was struggling with depression at the time of the killings. It is important to note that Brom is transitioning to a Twin Cities halfway house.
Okay. If the law says he has to have 15 years, at least 15 years, and he was sentenced to 3 consecutive life sentences, why would it not be reduced to 3 consecutive 15-year sentences? Like, doesn't that make sense? Is my mathing correctly? I'm not sure. I'm not good at math. But you would think that it was not concurrent. His life sentences were not concurrent. They were consecutive. So why would he not then get 15 like I don't know.
According to a DLC spokesperson, usually when an inmate is released from prison, they would return to their county of conviction, which in his case is Olmsted County. However, the supervised release board decided he will not be returning to Olmsted County for his work release or any potential future parole. In Lino Lakes, I'm Eric Min.
Brom's next appearance before the supervised release board is set for January of next year.
All right, so what do you guys think? What do you think of that? Because like I said, I had not heard of this axe murder before he was released, so I didn't know the story. I had to dig into it a little bit. But I just thought that was not enough time. Less than 40 years for 4 murders just does not seem like enough time to me. It seems like most of the chat agrees, although I do understand he was a child when it happened, but he was 16, which is like almost not a child anymore. Like, I mean, I don't know. It's not, yeah, the reporter looks younger than he was. The reporter looks 12, to be fair. So, MP in the chat is saying he should have never gotten out. A lot of the chat agrees, but also he was a kid, so, you know, maybe there's some room for leniency once he's but he's like middle-aged right now. He's not even elderly. Like maybe he could have gotten out when he was like 60 or 70, maybe. Right now just does not seem like the time to be letting him out, personally. I do have one more story queued up for you guys. It is about a woman who was driving her dying dog to the vet and decided that it would be a good idea to run a red light, cut off a cop, drive into oncoming traffic on her way to the veterinary office, and then, which, by the way, if your dog's dying and you decide you're going to make those choices and drive like that, that's fine. But then take the consequences. Like, know that if you're going to do that, then you might get arrested. You know? Video. Woman rushing dying dog to the vet, arrested by police after erratic driving. It says here, Hempstead County, Arkansas. Footage obtained by from the Arkansas State Police shows how a controversial arrest played out in Hempstead County. The dashcam video, time stamped around 12:45 on July 17th, shows a car with its hazard lights running a red light, with its hazard lights on, running a red light in front of the trooper's vehicle. The trooper goes after the vehicle and at one point can be seen driving on the wrong side of the road. Let's just get to the video. because it is 19 minutes long and we have 15 minutes left. So let's get to the video. We might fast forward through the boring parts because remember at 8:30 we're going over to NCR's channel. We're gonna watch some Florida Man videos over there. So all I'm saying is that if you make the conscious decision, I have to get my dog to the vet, I don't care what I need to do to get my dog to the vet, then when the cops pull you over, take your licks and hope the vet can save your dog while you're in jail. That's all I'm saying. There's no sound yet. There will be sound here in a minute. We're sitting at a red light. Okay, here we go. And there she is. Just cuts the cop right off. She just cut the cop off. Maybe there's not sound. Oh, there it is. Is that what happened, Kevin? And yours, you know about this story? I didn't know what was exactly wrong with the dog. Apparently, it ate a poisoned toad, according to the chat. I was not sure what had happened to the dog.
Oh, hell no.
By the way, the fact that she's not stopping once the cop is behind her is a little crazy too. She just keeps going like she's got an escort.
All right, they just pulled off into the veterinary clinic.
Hey, what the hell are you doing? I gotta get my dog to the vet. I don't give a shit. I gotta get my dog to the vet. No, ma'am. He's about to die. I don't care. She can bring your damn dog. Don't touch me. Don't touch me. Don't touch me.
This is what I'm saying about if you're going to drive like this, you know what you're doing. She needs to let her friend take the dog to the vet, who apparently isn't even open. The dog eventually does get into the vet, from what I understand. But the woman who was driving needs to walk up to the cop and be like, I know, put her hands behind her back and just take it, because like you just got to risk reward the situation in your head and know that I might lose my license, but at least I will have saved my dog.
My dog's dying. This is at the wrong vet. We got it the wrong. You're gonna cut off traffic because you're.
Is her vet at a random house? I live out in the country as well, and there's a lot of businesses that look exactly like this, where it looks like just a random house or a random barn, but it is indeed a veterinary clinic or whatever other business. So I kind of live in a rural area like this, so I get it.
Your dog is dying? Are you kidding me? Flashers on! Mama, get him to the vet! Get him to the vet! Go to the other vet! I don't care if you had your flashers on. You ran a vehicle off the road. You're going into traffic. Wait! Get her away! Let me sit up! I will buy whatever you need, but let me sit up! I will sit down and do whatever you say. Sit up. Wait, I can't get up. I killed him. G12 coat. I killed him. Get in. Okay, I will. Get in now. I'm just telling you I will do whatever I don't give a shit what you're telling me. Get in. I have one in custody, one female. Ma'am, listen, you can bring your dog in there. They're closed. Okay. Where's her driver's license?
I don't know. I'll get it to you. Don't.
What's her name, ma'am? April Robinson. Okay, come on. You go do your thing. That's fine. And what's your date of birth?
9/17/80. My name's April Robinson. I've never been in trouble.
Ma'am, you're lucky you didn't get TBI'd off the road. Because that's the next stage I was going toward.
He had a heartbeat.
I understand your dog is in bad shape, ma'am. But do you understand you ran a light, you went into oncoming traffic and cut off the vehicle. You could have killed somebody.
That's right. Why isn't she going?
You're going to jail today.
No, I'm talking about my mom.
April, your address is at 2312 Rocky Mound Road?
Yes.
Okay.
She did. We watched her go into oncoming traffic. She almost hit that white truck. There was a white truck coming right at her that had to swerve off the road to miss her. You don't put people's lives in danger over a dog, no matter how much you love your dog. I get it. That's your dog. You love them. Do you think I don't love these dogs? I get it. But I would not put other people's lives in danger over them. Maybe I probably should have made them cover their ears before I said that out loud. They heard everything I just said, guys.
She's lucky she didn't get TBI'd. So her dog is apparently dying, and she decided that she was gonna blow through a light with her blinkers on or her hazards on, and then she went, yes, in town, and then she went around a vehicle with oncoming traffic, cutting them off like she was running. So, I mean, and the mom took it inside. She's lucky she didn't hurt somebody. And I told her she's lucky she didn't get TBI because she just happened to slow down because she was behind a log truck. Yeah. Well, I was behind her. She just would not pull over. Okay, I'm gonna hand her mom these keys and let her take possession of it. I wrote her down for felony fleeing, and I mean whatever you think, Kyle. But I got her for felony fleeing, resisting arrest because she told me she wasn't gonna go to jail when I told her she was, and she pulled her arm away from me, and so I had her up against the vehicle, and. Failure to yield to traffic, and there's improper passing.
You already talked to Mom, though?
Yeah. So, anything else you can think of or that I need to do? I may need some instruction on the felony paperwork, but I don't think so. Maybe not. I don't know. The felony paperwork, maybe? Okay. All right. Well, I greatly appreciate it. I'm gonna give her these and I'll take her on in. Thank you. Pardon me, ma'am. All right, ma'am. Here's the keys for you, okay? All right, we're going to be over there, okay? All right, thank you. Thank you all. You too.
That was very nice of this cop to give the keys to the mom and not tow this car because they totally could have confiscated her car.
All right. You know what? I sure don't. I have her pulled up in Atlas, but all right. Thank you. All right. You have enough air back there? Yes, ma'am. Okay. G12 Hope.
So what do you guys think of the two stories we covered tonight? A, should that dude, Brom, be getting out of prison? We had a good discussion about that. I think most of the chat agrees that probably eventually someday getting out since he was 16, but not now. Like not right now where he hasn't even spent 10 years in prison for each one of the people he axe murdered. And then this woman with her dog. Man, what are we doing with the dog? I just saw another super chat come in. I was about to say we're going over to best Marx Brothers movie ever, Duck Feet. We will hand out Duck Feet, and then we're going over to NCR News Network's channel. He and I will be, these smell so bad, ranking some Florida men. We will definitely be ranking some Florida men. Here's the Duck Feet. The dogs love it. Thank you so much, Cool Clearwater, for supporting the show tonight, and everybody else who supported the show, whether that be by super chatting or I need a wipe. Or by just hitting that like button and the subscribe. I truly appreciate any support you guys give. I have it set for all of you to meet me over there on NCR News Network show. Right now, we're actually 1 minute late. Hopefully, he's started and we can just seamlessly transfer over to his show. And don't forget, even when I'm a guest on somebody's show, like I'm about to be, if you guys donate to that person, the dogs also get milk bones. So there's that. They do like these duck feet. Do you hear the crunching? It's so gross. All right, I'm going to play the outro and I'll meet you guys over there. It's starting a minute and a half ago. We'll see you Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern for a new episode of Booze and Body Cams with my co-host, Kfar. And I'll see you in just a minute over at NCR News Network show. Bye, guys.
First Florida man was Hernando de Soto. First Florida man, Hernando de Soto. First